Hey, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Geeks. I am Wild Bill, your host and the founding father of the show right here.
I'm Pete. How's everybody doing? You guys ready for another Marvel villain spotlight? Well, you're getting one. So, who we got today, Bill?
Focus on moleman.
Got the moleman, right?
First appeared in Fantastic Four #1.
That's right.
And I got it right here. It's a reprint, of course.
So it's King Size Special #7, which reprinted the...
This is probably the annual, right? Number
Yeah.
7. This book is from 1969.
So what we found out, it's funny, the Mole Man is a pretty legendary villain, but he didn't really appear in a ton of books over the years.
Only 5 in my collection. I had to go digging.
Yeah, I don't have a lot either, and
Out of
as it
3,000.
turns out, he was in like maybe a half a dozen
It's
Fantastic
probably
Four.
because he was in Fantastic Four #1. He also appeared in #22. Pete's got a couple of older issues like 89 and 90. But he was primarily a Fantastic Four villain.
Yeah.
I've only got one issue of him in the Hulk, which I'll show later.
But in the eras that are our sweet spots, which are the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, they used them very sparingly. Most, like Bill said, in the Fantastic Four. But as we found out in more recent years and past when we collect, he would pop up quite a bit. But we're looking back at the old stuff, so not a lot, but made an impact. And we were talking before about how we've covered initially on the show we talked about a lot of the A-list villains.
Yes.
We're really trying hard to go a little bit deeper and get some of those villains that didn't pop up all the time, like Red Skull and Doctor Doom.
But
and
this
Galactus.
guy is such a popular name,
Yeah.
but he's really not that popular in the comics.
But that's because he appeared in that first issue. And we also talked earlier about how the Chameleon for Spider-Man is often looked at as one of his legendary villains because he was the first. But he's really not that great a villain, and he appeared very sparingly.
This is the monster you see on the cover of
That's
Fantastic Four #1.
That's right.
So Mole Man has his origin in here. And I guess there's 2 parts to the story because the second part is the Mole Man's secret. And he talks about he was an explorer. Harvey Rupert Elder was his name. He was an American nuclear engineer and explorer. And he got mocked by the scientific community because of his hollow earth theory.
And that face.
And he was an ugly dog. And so he goes hiking through this cave when he's exploring, and he falls down, and there's an avalanche, and he falls even deeper into the earth, and the impact or whatever caused him to lose his sight.
Yeah.
And then he starts developing this radar sense. So he's kind of got like I don't know if you want to call that a superpower, but he says he's got like a radar sense.
Like a mole, because the moles don't really see,
Yes.
but they can sense.
And he knows how to fight with a bow staff. So he's kind of like a martial arts expert with the bow staff. That's basically it for his powers. But he's kind of like a Doctor Doom dude, blabbing about world domination all the time.
But again, another one of those guys with the super intellect who's been able to master and hear a race of kind of subhumans below.
So
the
he
surface.
talked about being underground, and that was after he survives the avalanche. He talks about that was the last of his misfortunes. My luck began to turn in my favor. I mastered the creatures down here, made them do my bidding, and with their help, I carved out an underground empire. Oh, really? He goes, I conquered everything about me. I even learned to sense things in the dark, like a mole. Here, I'll show you. Take that pole and try to strike me with it, I say. Strike me.
And he's able to fight and beat this other person here who's, can see perfectly.
Which is actually one of the Fantastic Four. He's got them in this suit.
That's right.
So
I think a lot of people forget that the whole origin of the Fantastic Four tied directly to the Mole Man for the most part. So,
and it wrapped up right here
yeah.
where they escape, and there's an avalanche again where the cave closes in and Mole Man's in there. So the Fantastic Four escape, thinking the Mole Man is dead underground. So he shows up in the first issue, and he shows up again in issue 22.
22, and then I believe this is the third appearance, so this is issue number 31. So there he is again. Every time that the Fantastic Four would go below the Earth, it's almost like they knew that if they would have to go to the Earth's core, they would have to deal with
Mole Man.
But he very rarely came up top, right? I can't remember him coming up top much at all. But this is, I just got this recently, so this is the earliest one in my collection.
I'm looking for the name.
like what he calls the creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. Were they mole men? I thought they
No.
had something different, right? And then issue number 89, another great Kirby cover here. Here you've got Alicia Masters involved here. And I'm going to open up one of these to see if we get any kind of, if you want to start talking about that one there, the other ones that you have.
Fantastic Four 127. And this one is kind of interesting because the Thing meets up with this lady. And I think her name is Kara. And she's Atlantean. And the Thing talks to her about the Submariner, but she doesn't know who the Submariner is. But she knows the name. And she's like, talks to the Thing, and let's get to her name first. She basically asked the Thing to take her to Moleman, which is her fiance.
His Subterraneans.
Subterraneans, there you go.
Subterraneans,
That
yep.
makes sense.
Yep. Which here they are, okay, rampaging up. My Subterraneans are coming. So here is where he leads them to go above the surface. So this is actually a really good issue because here he's in great Kirby splash page, Kirby Joe Sinnott, boom, boom. But yeah, he's holding his own against them. I mean, he's very nimble for a guy who's so short and weak. He's got that sixth sense, so to speak, and he uses that staff pretty cool. And there's also, in addition to the Subterraneans, and all of a sudden there's one of the Skrulls, right?
Then, going underground, and sees this monster and fights it, takes it out, but it's kind of like her horse, this monster that Ben takes out.
That's right.
So, her guards fear, I think her name is Kayla, or Kara.
Kala, K-A-L-A, Kala.
Kala.
Yeah.
So she's like, thank you for saving my life. You can join me on my quest for my fiance and it's Moleman. He's like, really? And he's like, well, she's like, I can talk to him on your behalf. He's like, I hope so, Queenie, for everyone's sake. It sure as blazes hope so. She goes, but perhaps you and I may have an occasion to become more
Better acquainted.
Perhaps I can even mediate in your
ancient
quarrel
quarrel
with my beloved. She's being taken. She's royalty. She's the queen of the underworld.
And I did want to point this out because this did happen on numerous occasions with him. So those glasses that he wears, they're like visors. So if you take them off, his eyes are really sensitive to light, which is, again, another reason why he lives below the surface. So here they are up on top of the surface. He's trying to get his Subterraneans to defeat the Fantastic Four and take over the world. And Sue Richards takes off his glasses, and he's, like, obviously in distress there. So
they're traveling underground, and they're getting closer. So now the Thing starts to see Subterraneans, and he falls into a trap. And she would basically set him up. She just strung him along and brought the Thing along to get trapped by the Moleman. And the Subterraneans, they get him like in this net, and the more he struggles, the more he's like, it's like a spiderweb effect.
Yeah.
The more he struggles, the more he's pinned down. So then, Moleman steps up, makes his threats.
good at that.
Silence.
Dog. Silence, dog.
Unless you wish to be punished again. Because he was mouthing off to the female.
I'll tell you, Buscema did a pretty good Mole Man.
So, you don't really see him much. Other than Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I thought he might have, when we were researching, I thought he might have been in Thor.
Yeah.
But he did show up in Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic. Again, another underground adventure. Then, I believe this is a Jim Starlin cover. Number 35.
Yeah, very well could be.
I think it is. And you got Moleman on the cover of this one. So he does cross paths with the Hulk. Only in issue 189. in 190, but he's not on the cover. This story goes into 190.
That's a Herb Trimpe cover there.
Yes.
Done. So you get all the subterranean.
So you get the mole man up there in the corner with his green suit, but you know he didn't get around a lot, but we know who he is.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him a little more, but I guess maybe, you know, when you think about the character itself, maybe a little limited.
Because of his underground domain situation.
He's got to stay there, right? So, you know.
If a story takes it underground, which is like the Fantastic Four would be, that kind of team. So, there you have it. Mole Man.
Mole Man.
So, I'm Wild Bill saying thanks for being here. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Villain Spotlight on Mole Man today from Comic Book Users. I'm Wild Bill, as always, saying thanks for your support, your subscriptions, your comments. Please click the like button if you like this video. And also, please tell your friends about us if they like comics to check us out. We need some subscribers. We could appreciate that. And click the notification bell so you can be kept in the loop every time we got a video coming out, so you can be kept in the loop.
That's right. And I am Pete. Thanks for joining us here in my backyard. So we'll be here for the next couple episodes. So as long as the weather's good, why not come outside, right? So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take it easy.
Comic Book User.
Bye.